On today's installation video, we'll be showing you how to install a RaceChip in the Porsche 2.0 4-cylinder turbo. Before installing the RaceChip, please wait until your engine is cool enough to work on. Put your parking brake or emergency brake on. If your vehicle is equipped with an alarm system, please disable it. Pop the hood, roll up the windows, close the doors, and press the lock button on your key fob and move that key fob 30 feet away. You're going to wait about 10 minutes after for all the electricity to clear from underneath the hood. With the engine cool enough to begin working on, we're first going to remove the plastic engine cover. To do so, we're just simply going to lift up on the 4 rubber grommets and move the cover away. For this application, we'll be connecting our A to our boost pressure sensor down here. Our B goes to our manifold pressure sensor right here. And if you have it, the C goes to the camshaft position sensor right here. First, we'll start with the A connection going to our boost pressure sensor, which will be right here behind the driver's side headlight on the turbo inlet pipe. We'll take the female end of the supplied RaceChip wiring harness, plug it directly into the OEM sensor plug we just unplugged, push it until it clicks. And we'll take the male end of the supplied wiring harness and plug it directly into the sensor itself. And again, same as the female end, we're going to push it in until it clicks. After we've connected the A, next step is our B connection to our manifold pressure sensor right here. To unplug the sensor plug, we're first going to pull back on the gray locking tab and then press down and pull back. Then we'll take the female end of the supplied wiring harness and plug it in. Press the gray locking tab, and we'll take the male end of the RaceChip wiring harness and plug that directly into the sensor itself and lock it in place with the locking tab. Now, if your application only has an A and B, you can go ahead and go to the next step. If your application comes with a C, it's going to go right here to the camshaft position sensor. To remove it, we're going to pull back in the locking tab, press down. Then we're going to take the female end of the RaceChip supplied wiring harness, plug that in place. Now, it's really important, this plug can go in upside down. We want the locking tab to go to the smooth side of the RaceChip supplied wiring harness. If we have it reversed, the tune will not be active and you won't see any increase to power. Now, with the female end connected, we'll go ahead and take the male end of the RaceChip supplied harness and plug it directly into the sensor. And then lock it in place with the gray locking tab. Next on the installation is to insert the 4 mounting tabs in place. The really nice thing about our supplied mounting tabs is it allows you to mount the RaceChip with the supplied longer zip ties, either vertically or horizontally. And if you ever need to remove the RaceChip for any warranty work or service, instead of having to cut the zip ties, instead you can press the locking tabs in the 4 corners to remove the RaceChip and leave the zip ties in place. Next step on the installation here is to remove the deactivation plug. It's really important you hang on to the deactivation plug after you remove it. You do not want to throw this away. We suggest throwing this in your glove box or maybe your center console. If you ever need to revert the car back to stock, the deactivation plug will go in place of the RaceChip and take the car right back to stock condition. So to remove the deactivation plug, we're simply pull to the side of the FCI plug and then lift up. Then we'll take the RaceChip and put it right in the place of the deactivation plug, lock it in place with the FCI plug. Now, it's really important the first time we install, if you have the GTS, you have no LED lights on the screen, or if you have the RS or S, you do not have a green LED illuminating. It's really important the first time we install the RaceChip that we don't have any power going to the device. Now we're going to insert the 2 longer supplied zip ties to mount the RaceChip in place. To mount the RaceChip, we want to put it someplace within the engine compartment that's away from any hot or moving parts. And if we're going to zip tie to any electrical or fluid lines, we don't want to zip tie too tight to pinch off the lines or the fluid. Generally, a good idea is to put it anywhere near a headlight or a battery, even in the fuse box, as these places will be away from the moisture and away from the hot moving parts. For this application, we're going to mount it right here on the cross member in the front of the car. Again, it's away from any of the hot and the moving parts, and it's not very easy for moisture to get right here. Next is to zip tie the RaceChip harness away from the hot parts of the engine. So you're going to use the shorter of the supplied zip ties Again, if we're going to be zip tying to any electric lines or fluids, we don't want to go too tight with the zip tie to pinch anything within the cable. Last but not least is to trim the excess ends off the zip ties to give everything a nice OEM look. Now the only thing left to do is reinstall the engine cover and enjoy the RaceChip. Start in the default setting of the RaceChip for the first time you test drive the car. If everything works great, you can then move the RaceChip to the next level up. Be aware that the car needs some time to adapt before releasing the full performance upgrade. Now, get out, drive, and enjoy your RaceChip.